All right, we could soon know if Camelot actually existed.
Arthur's Stone, a 5,000-year-old chambered tomb in Britain, is being excavated. It's named in honor of King Arthur, the mythical ruler of Camelot, who, according to legend, pulled the magical sword Excalibur from a stone. Researchers say they hope this project will shed light on that part of British history.
Scientists have uncovered human remains in Herefordshire, challenging centuries of myth about King Arthur. The discovery rewrites assumptions about the legendary king, contrasting romantic legend with grim reality. The bones, radiocarbon-dated, burned, and ceremonially placed, provide tangible proof that history and myth may collide, and the truth is darker than anyone expected. The shocking cave discovery in Herefordshire. In the quiet hills of Herefordshire, England, something unexpected was found beneath the earth, something that's drawing attention from historians and archaeologists around the world. Inside a network of limestone caves long connected by locals to the King Arthur legend, a chamber was re-excavated after years of silence. This time, archaeologists found human remains, not buried in the soil outside, but deep within, in a space that felt more like a shrine than a grave. The bones were burnt, partially fragmented, and buried near ritual items, shell beads, rock art, and signs of controlled fire. Radiocarbon testing dated the remains to the 5th or 6th century, placing them exactly in the time frame when a historical Arthur might have lived, during the crumbling years of post-Roman Britain. The context wasn't just unusual, it was unsettling. This wasn't a formal tomb. It looked like a hidden space, perhaps a ceremonial chamber, or as one researcher said, a cave of the sleeping king. That phrase sparked immediate global headlines. Myths have long told of Arthur resting in hidden places, waiting to return. But this wasn't myth. It was bone, ash, and stone. Physical, datable, real. The discovery challenges the idea that King Arthur is purely a creation of folklore. And even if these are not his bones, they belong to someone who died violently, left in a place tied to a legend centuries old. And this isn't the first time such claims have stirred the public imagination. Over 800 years ago, another Arthurian discovery set a precedent, one that still casts a shadow over every new find. The long shadow of Glastonbury's famous find. In 1190, monks at Glastonbury Abbey made an announcement that would change British myth forever. During repairs to their abbey, they claimed to have uncovered a grave containing 2 skeletons, one significantly larger than the other. With the bones was a lead cross inscribed in Latin with a chilling message: "Here lies Arthur, King." The timing was suspicious. The abbey had recently suffered a fire. Donations were dwindling. The country was in turmoil. By linking the site to King Arthur, the monks created a magnet for pilgrims, money, and political influence. And it worked. Glastonbury became a center of legend and faith, as thousands came to see the grave of Britain's greatest mythical king. Modern scholars are more skeptical. Many believe the cross was a medieval forgery, and the bones belonged to Celtic nobility, buried long before the monks' announcement. Still, the story caught on, and it remains one of the most famous discoveries in the history of legend-making. Whether it was real or not, said one historian, it changed the way we believed in Arthur. That's the shadow modern discoveries still live under. Every new bone, every cave, every carved symbol is weighed against Glastonbury's claim. Was it myth? Was it fraud? Or did someone truly find the resting place of a forgotten warrior? To answer that, we have to move from legend to landscape, back to the hills and stones, where deeper truths still lie buried. Arthur's Stone, a 5,000-year-old monument with modern clues. High on the ridge of Doorstone Hill in Herefordshire, a group of large, ancient stones sit in solemn silence, surrounded by mist and sheep fields. Known as Arthur's Stone, this Neolithic monument has been linked to King Arthur not by evidence, but by legend. Locals say the giant capstone marks where Arthur slew a giant, leaving his mark in the landscape forever. But archaeologists have a different story, one that's only just beginning to unfold. Built between 3,700 and 2,700 BC, Arthur's Stone is far older than the time King Arthur would have lived. It's a chambered tomb once hidden beneath a long earthen mound that has eroded over the centuries. But recent excavations by Manchester and Cardiff University teams have revealed it was far more than just a burial site. Ground surveys and trench digs showed that the mound was once larger, more complex, and possibly aligned to features in the surrounding landscape. They uncovered post holes that may have supported wooden palisades or ceremonial structures. There were traces of burned bone, shards of prehistoric pottery, and even evidence that the monument's orientation changed over time. The site wasn't static. It evolved, first as a gathering place, later a sacred tomb, and possibly even a site of ongoing ritual activity for centuries after its construction. What makes this more than just a prehistoric tomb is the alignment. The mound points toward distant peaks, Skirrid and Garway Hill, landmarks that may have held spiritual significance to the people who built the site. Some archaeologists believe these alignments form a kind of sacred geometry, a map etched into the landscape using stone and memory. It's like they were connecting the dead to the horizon, said one team leader, tying people to place. And this is where legend returns. The local Arthur myths didn't emerge from nowhere. The massive capstone, weighing over 25 tons, commands awe. Its presence, unexplained by early medieval people, likely inspired tales of giants and heroes. So while the monument predates Arthur by thousands of years, it may have shaped the myth that followed. This ties directly into a nearby site, King Arthur's Cave, which is less imposing, but even more human in its secrets. A cave once filled with ancient animals and Paleolithic tools, and now with connections to the exact time Arthur may have lived. King Arthur's Cave, a place of human occupation across millennia. Just a short distance from Arthur's Stone, tucked into the limestone cliffs near the River Wye, lies King Arthur's Cave. It's a quiet, haunting place. 2 chambers cut into the rock, cool and damp, surrounded by the dense green of ancient woodland. While the name again ties it to the legendary king, the reality inside the cave reveals something far older, and perhaps far more revealing. Excavations show that this cave was used during the Upper Paleolithic period, around 40,000 to 12,000 years ago. Flint tools and the bones of woolly mammoths, reindeer, and cave lions were found here, showing it was once a shelter for humans surviving the Ice Age. But use didn't stop there. Layers of Bronze Age, Iron Age, and early medieval material suggest the site remained important across time. Locals have long whispered about the cave being Arthur's resting place, or the site where he would meet with his knights, hidden from the world. But now, with the re-excavation of surrounding caves and new dating methods, we see something deeper, a pattern of continuity. Caves like this were not just homes, they were symbolic spaces used for ritual, burial, and memory across thousands of years. It's no coincidence that the human remains recently found in nearby caves date to the 5th to 6th century, the same post-Roman era tied to the historical Arthur. Their burned condition, the presence of artifacts like shell beads, and the lack of formal tombs all suggest a clandestine or ceremonial purpose. These weren't random dead, they were placed here for a reason. And while we may never know their names, the people who used this cave saw it as sacred. The legends of Arthur likely didn't create this importance. They absorbed it. Myth layered itself over memory, just as new bones were laid over older ones. What we're left with is a landscape dense with meaning. Stones and caves speak of ancient lives and evolving belief. And now, with physical remains in hand, we must ask a difficult question. What do the bones themselves say? The bones tell a different story. What the remains show. When the fragments of human bone were first brought out of the Herefordshire cave, archaeologists expected a standard burial context. What they found instead shocked them. The pieces were burned, broken, and scattered, not placed with the care of a tomb but deposited like remnants of an event. Radiocarbon testing places the bones in the 5th to 6th century, the exact period of Britain's turbulent post-Roman transition, when small kingdoms rose and fell, and a real-life warlord could have inspired the Arthur legend. Some bones bear marks that may signal violence, cut marks, impact fractures, or exposure to heat before burial. This was not the image of a mythical king laid to rest in splendor. It was the evidence of a warlord's end, or perhaps a ritual offering. We're not looking at a tomb, one researcher remarked. We're looking at a statement. Even more striking is the choice of location. Instead of an above-ground burial mound or stone tomb, the remains were hidden in a limestone cavern alongside shell beads, ochre traces, and burned animal bones. This echoes older traditions of placing the dead in sacred caves rather than public graves, practices that go back to the Bronze Age. It suggests secrecy, ritual, or even defiance of conventional burial customs. If this was Arthur, or someone like him, then the story is worse than we thought because it points not to a heroic king on a throne, but to a fragmented, violent world where legends were stitched from many lives. And if it is not Arthur, then it is someone else whose death was bound to a myth that has lasted 1,500 years. The bones have begun to speak, but not with the answers people wanted, only with clues that led deeper into the mystery. And those clues aren't just in the bones themselves. They're also etched into the walls and artifacts around them, hinting at layer upon layer of ritual use stretching back millennia. Ritual layers and symbolic deposits. The walls of the Herefordshire caves hold faint but unmistakable marks of red ochre, the same pigment used in prehistoric burials across Europe. Small shell beads with drilled holes were found in the sediment, likely worn as amulets or left as offerings. Burned animal bones and fragmentary tools were mixed into the soil, building a picture of a space used and reused for ritual purposes over thousands of years. Archaeological layers show multi-period occupation: Bronze Age debris beneath early medieval remains, Paleolithic flint tools beneath them all. This is not a single event frozen in time, but a palimpsest, a living sacred site where meaning shifted with each generation. What one group saw as a burial chamber, another may have seen as a sanctuary. Later, people folded Arthurian myth into that landscape, just as the earliest builders folded their dead into the earth. Some shells show signs of deliberate modification. Some bones were arranged rather than simply left. Such details hint at ceremonies we can only imagine. Amulets placed in cracks, pigments painted on walls, chants echoing in the dark. These caves are not just holes in the ground, one field archaeologist said. They're theaters of memory. This continuity may explain why Arthurian legends gravitated here. The caves already carried millennia of significance, and the 5th to 6th century remains provided a tangible anchor for myth. Rather than being the origin of the story, the bones and artifacts may represent its latest layer, part of a much longer tradition of sacred deposits and hidden dead. And as we follow these layers outward across the landscape, a new discovery at Doorstone near Arthurstone begins to reveal how these sites form not just isolated mysteries, but an interconnected web of legend and archaeology. The Doorstone discovery, a tomb box with mystery bones. In 2023, just a short walk from Arthurstone, a quiet excavation at a place known as Doorstone revealed something that might link legend, landscape, and burial in ways never seen before. Beneath a layer of soil and grass, archaeologists uncovered a small stone box, only about the size of a loaf of bread. Inside it, burned human bones, charred, fragmented, and deliberately placed. The bones had no formal grave around them, no marker, no monument, just a stone box hidden beneath the turf of Herefordshire as if placed in secret. Initial analysis placed them tentatively in the 5th to 6th century, matching the same rough time as the remains found in the nearby cave. That timing is no accident. It suggests these locations, Arthurstone, the cave, and now Doorstone, are part of a ritual network, tied together by myth and burial tradition. What's particularly strange is the placement. The box was not aligned like other Neolithic tombs in the area. It was off-axis, set apart from any known structure, and showed no signs of being reopened or reused. Pottery shards found nearby date to a similar period, and structural features suggest a ceremonial context rather than casual burial. Researchers began to speculate. Was this a secondary deposit? Bones of someone moved here after cremation? Or was it a symbolic burial, meant to connect with other sacred sites across the hilltop? One theory suggests the bones could be part of a hero cult, a local tradition of honoring a powerful figure by distributing their remains across multiple locations, creating a spiritual map of their story. It's not a coincidence these finds are clustered near sites already steeped in Arthurian lore, said one field supervisor. This wasn't random. This was landscape-level storytelling. The find gives weight to the idea that the Arthur legend didn't form around a single location, but across many. Sites like Doorstone could have served as memory nodes, physical anchors that kept a story alive across centuries. And if that's true, then modern archaeology is not just uncovering bones, it's uncovering the architecture of a myth. As compelling as this find is, it demands verification. And that means turning to science, where DNA and carbon dating may finally separate fact from folklore. The DNA and dating gamble, science versus myth. With bones pulled from base, tomb boxes, and ancient soil, the next step is as critical as it is risky. Can modern science tell us who these people were? Collagen from the charred bones has survived in small amounts, just enough to allow radiocarbon dating and possibly even DNA extraction. But nothing is guaranteed. If the results confirm a 5th to 6th century origin, and if the DNA shows Celtic British lineage, the Arthur hypothesis gains strength. A regional warlord or leader, buried in ceremonial fashion, tied to a sacred cave and a prehistoric monument, suddenly becomes plausible. Not proof, but possibility. It won't give us a name, said one geneticist, but it might tell us we're not chasing smoke. But if the DNA reveals something else, older bones, or a lineage not local to Britain, then the legend begins to unravel. Worse, if contamination or mixed remains are found, the entire chain of assumptions could fall apart. That's the gamble. These are burned, degraded samples, pulled from non-standard burial sites. Science may offer clarity, or it may raise more questions. And even if the science confirms the date and region, it can't confirm the myth. Arthur is not just a person. He's a composite figure, stitched together from war leaders, tribal memories, and centuries of retelling. Any remains found will always sit somewhere between reality and story. Still, the tests are underway. Carbon labs, isotope analysis teams, and ancient DNA experts across Europe are now focused on this quiet corner of Herefordshire, hoping to decode a legend embedded in bone. But what happens when the results come in? Whether they confirm or contradict the myth, the impact will ripple far beyond the labs. Because in the end, this search isn't just about Arthur. It's about why we need to believe he was real. Myth, memory, and identity. Why people want Arthur to be real. The story of King Arthur is more than a tale of knights, swords, and castles. It's a deep-rooted cultural framework, a mirror held up to a nation's soul. For centuries, it has shaped how Britain sees its own past, how it views leadership, sacrifice, honor, and loss. Arthur isn't just a legendary figure from dusty manuscripts. He's a symbol that has been folded into national identity, geography, and even childhood imagination. And now, when bones are pulled from a cave, burned, buried, forgotten, the reaction isn't just academic curiosity, it's emotional. It brushes against something raw and deeply human. Arthur has always stood for the ideal ruler, a king not corrupted by power, not defeated by time. He is the noble protector, the one who leads with wisdom, fights with courage, and vanishes into the mists only to return in Britain's darkest hour. This idea of a sleeping king, hidden in hills, resting in caves, waiting beneath the land, isn't exclusive to Arthur. Versions of it appear in Welsh mythology, Norse sagas, Germanic legends. Heroes who are not dead, but dormant. Protectors not lost, but reserved. So when archaeologists discover remains from the 5th to 6th century in a cave long tied to Arthurian lore, it feels bigger than bone. It feels like waking a piece of that long dream. It taps into that belief that maybe, just maybe, the stories were more than stories. That beneath the layers of myth lies something real. That's what gives this discovery its weight. If the bones are the right age, from the right region, carrying the right genetic lineage, it gives form to something long suspected but never confirmed. It won't give us a sword or a crown, but it might give us a man, flawed, mortal, and real, who stood at the crossroads of legend and history. But if the data points elsewhere, if the DNA doesn't match, or the bones come from another era, the story doesn't just fall apart, it shifts. It challenges what people have believed for generations. And in doing so, it risks disrupting something fragile, the emotional architecture of a legend. As one folklorist put it, the real Arthur was probably not a single man, but many, folded together in memory. Perhaps he was an amalgam of tribal leaders, warlords, defenders of Britain in the shadow of Rome's collapse. Each left a mark. Over time, those marks blurred into one name, one story, and now in the earth it seems their bones are surfacing. The twist is both thrilling and bittersweet. The closer we get to the truth, the more we must confront what the myth has become. If Arthur was no more than a burned chieftain left in a sacred cave, the legend shrinks. But paradoxically, it becomes more meaningful because it shows that myths are not built from fantasy. They rise from trauma, memory, and longing, from the need to make sense of war, loss, and the hope that someone was once great enough to stop the tide. And even if the science is inconclusive, even if we never find a name, the myth will endure. Because Arthur is not just in the bones, he's in the land, in the stone circles of Wales, in the mist over Glastonbury Tor, in the quiet spaces between facts where stories grow, in every cave that echoes with a name whispered for 1,500 years. The search for Arthur is, in the end, a search for meaning, and meaning is something myths will always preserve, even long after the bones have turned to dust. What happens next? Mystery will persist. Right now, deep inside laboratories across Europe, scientists are handling the fragile remains excavated from the Herefordshire caves, bones that might belong to a forgotten warlord, or someone whose death helped seed one of the most enduring myths in Western history. DNA sequencing, isotope analysis, and radiocarbon calibration are all underway, with results expected in the coming months. If those results point to the 5th to 6th century, with markers of British Celtic ancestry and a lifestyle consistent with a post-Roman elite, the Arthur hypothesis will gain more than just momentum. It will gain substance. The academic world will take notice. So will the media. And the public? They're already watching, some with hope, others with suspicion. But the path is anything but clear. These remains were burned, potentially displaced, and recovered from a context that resists easy interpretation. This wasn't a sealed tomb undisturbed for centuries. It was a ritual landscape layered with symbolic deposits, modified bones, and multi-era use. Even a single trace of contamination, from modern DNA, animal remains, or overlapping burial phases, could distort the findings. We're working with fragments of a fragmented past, one bioarchaeologist said. There's no control group for myth. Despite these challenges, the work continues. New field surveys are underway. Adjacent caves, hilltops, and forgotten burial features near Arthur's stone, Doorstone, and the river valley are now being analyzed. Some researchers are even employing LIDAR and ground-penetrating radar to scan for hidden chambers or buried stone circles, hoping to reveal a wider pattern of ritual activity that connects the landscape into something larger, a spiritual geography that the Arthur myth might have once mapped. The implications go far beyond archaeology. Already, local councils are preparing for surges in tourism. Heritage groups are drafting conservation plans. Museums are quietly expanding Arthurian displays. Behind closed doors, scholars are exchanging early data, and journals are preparing for heated debates. This isn't just an excavation anymore. It's a cultural moment. But whatever the final results show, the legend of Arthur will endure. It always has. The myth has survived Norman conquest, Reformation fires, 19th century romanticism, 20th century skepticism, and academic dismissal. Why? Because it's not just about the past. Arthur is a symbol, a mirror held up to our highest hopes. He represents just rule, heroic resistance, and the idea that somewhere in a hidden place leadership sleeps but never dies. If these bones turn out to be someone else, a tribal chieftain, a forgotten noble, or just another casualty of the chaotic centuries following Rome's collapse, then the story becomes more grounded. not less. And that reality might be more powerful than the myth, because it reminds us that legends grow from real lives, real deaths, and the real fears and dreams of those who came before us. Even if science says no, the story of Arthur will continue to evolve, because stories like his are bigger than bone. They live in stone circles, shadowed caves, and windswept hills. In every whispered tale told by firelight, the mystery will remain. Because Arthur, whether historical or wholly imagined, is now part of the land itself. And the land keeps its secrets longer than we do. The legend of King Arthur is more than myth. It's memory, identity, and the longing for heroes. These newly discovered bones may never confirm the king himself, yet they illuminate the real people behind the stories. Warriors, tribal leaders, and communities shaping history. Science may reveal dates, DNA, and lineage, but it cannot capture the spirit the myth preserves. Arthur's presence endures in the landscapes, caves, and stones that inspired centuries of storytelling. Whether king or collective memory, the mystery persists, reminding us that history is layered, complex, and often stranger and darker than legend alone can convey.